Boo! What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Pliyo, and today I want to discuss with you all the single most important problem in Etheria Restart right now. I have been playing the game for 35 days. I'm gonna show you all my progress in a second. I was in the middle of this run when I thought, okay, let me put my thought into words. Let's discuss. Right. What is the biggest problem that I see right now? And I appreciate this might be an unpopular opinion, and feel free to disagree with me in the comments. What I believe is the single most important problem is that we don't have a way to reset heroes, a permanent way to reset heroes every single day, or at the very least every single week, or at the very least when a new unit drops. And why I believe this is the single most important problem? Well, as you can see, I'm using 3 different teams, and the reality is that with so little perfect lettuce, which is fine, I'm fine with that. With so little lattice, because we cannot reset heroes, we also cannot experiment. Now, I believe this is the key thing that a game can offer. A game is good when you can do try and error. A game is good when you can learn from your own mistakes. Right now, learning comes from watching YouTube. Learning comes from other people that were perhaps better by making better choices from day one, but that doesn't give a good playground when everyone could be experimenting. So let's say that I'm using Masia here, for example, and I would love to reset him. I invested on his S3, and I would love to reset him maybe because I want to try Shiada. I want to try Rosa. I want to try someone else. And right now, I'm not asking for more resources, but right now, I won't be able to do that. And I need to stay stuck with my choices, stay waiting for 7, 12, 16 or 20 more weeks until I can actually try Shiada or Rosa because of how little perfect lattice there is. And don't get me wrong, I have been buying every single perfect lattice, so I have been trying to experiment even more and to progress as fast as possible. And still it's not enough. So I'm not asking for more perfect lettuce. What I'm asking for is that ability to have hero resets. It will be so much better. And yes, you could be arguing, right? There is an argument to be made. You could be saying, oh, but then when a new unit drops, then you're gonna reset your previous units and max the new unit. Yes, if I wanted to, yes. And why I believe this is good is because that will help free-to-play players. That will help the people that have been playing the game for longest. That will be good for casual players as well, because then you can try the newest unit. And the compromise is that you are resetting someone else. You cannot have 2 units that are fantastic. You are swapping A for B because there is no way to farm this resource, right? And by swapping, the reality is you still have the same number of units that are good. And in PvP, the reality is that you need multiple units that are really, really good. So then, I believe this will help us by bringing more experimentation into the game, more gameplay into the game. I think that will be the single most important change. Now, let me tell you a bit more about myself. So, max out on level. I have done everything on auto apart from Aurora. I'm still struggling with Sharon, as you saw there. I have been playing for 35 days in a row, doing max refreshes. My name is Pliyo, and I love covering Etheria Restart content and other gacha games like Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. So if you like this type of thing, please consider throwing a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's continue discussing. What I believe is the most important problem is this one, right? So not having a way to reset. I invested heavily in Masaya, and I still didn't build him. And the thing is, like, another argument that you could be making, right, is to say, oh, but you need to use your resources wisely. Yeah, sure. But not really, because I have Veronica waiting, I have Hellkid waiting, Bejontin, Hoyan, Rosa, Chloros. I don't think it's about waiting that this is a benefit. There is no benefit in waiting. And don't get me wrong, I have enough patience for that. The challenge is, like, if I wanted to try Chloros rather than Jelly, I won't be able to do it, even though I have him. How bad is that? I love Chloros design, but I cannot afford trying him on my teams because I will be making a really terrible mistake in my account that will take me weeks to fix. And this is not like a single player game that, you know, you're going to be progressing through the story and you have different paths. This is not Baldur's Gate. This is a game where you have PvE and PvP. And now this leads to the key question of this video. And if you're watching still, thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. The key question of this video is, what is the identity of Etheria Restart? Is this a game focusing on PvP? Or is this a game focusing on PvE? Or is this a game that tries to do both? One thing is clear, it's not a game that is focusing on the story, that's for sure. So it's either PvE challenges or PvP. Now, what I thought, and perhaps this is where, you know, the misalignment comes, what I thought is that this game wanted to thrive on the PvP. There are so many good things around PvP that I thought that's the core purpose of the key differentiator value between this game and other gacha games. I thought that was the thing. But if the identity of the game is PvP, and only if the identity of the game is PvP, I don't think the strategy here is really encouraging PvP because, again, the same problem, we cannot experiment. It will take us 12, 24 weeks to really build other units, to be able to experiment, to really see how different teams could be performing together, the different synergies, and so on and so forth. The problem right now is that your choices are so definitive to the point that it becomes fear-driven choice. Now, yes, you can play with units without using any skill. Of course, you can play with units without using any skills, but is that really the gameplay here? Is that really the gameplay here? Are we going to default to using units without leveling their skills? Leveling their skills is actually, in my opinion, what makes these units unique and exciting. Look at Holden, for example. Look at so many units like Jelly. Jelly needs so much investment, but once you invest in Jelly, she is the single target, most useful DPS right now in the game. She's so good in PvP, she's so good in PvE. You know all of this. But the thing is, if you wanted to try her, and you invested on someone else because you didn't know, you won't be able to until like 13, 14 weeks. And maybe you have invested in, I don't know, like let's say Liane, right? And you misuse your previous resets events, right? We only have 2 of those. And I honestly believe the solution here is add a permanent reset event, or at least per week, or at least every time that a new unit is introduced, so that we can play with different units. Now, having covered that topic, feel free to disagree with me in the comments, of course. This is only my opinion, and your opinion is completely valid. This is just mine, right? I believe that the identity of the game is the key thing that they need to realize. I have been playing for 35 days. I think I have clear enough things to understand how the game works. I have been doing max refreshes non-stop. Now, speaking of which, that goes to the second problem, which for many people might be the biggest problem, right? So I wanted to cover these 2 problems. The second problem is modules, right? It's extremely expensive to level up anything. Not to mention the RNG, not to mention how random everything is. It's really sad to see this because the economy is so broken. So that, again, doesn't help us to experiment with different teams, with different sets. We are stuck. And it's fine. Waiting is fine, as long as we could get more rewards by breaking pieces. Like, I think they need to either, a few options that they can have is reduce the cost from level 1 to 10 and then push the cost later on in the level 11, 12. So at least you can know the roles, right? So look at this, for example. What a terrible role. I should have never leveled that up. Look at my mistakes, right? Look at this. I roll speed once and I thought, okay, let's go again. Boom, I roll flat attack. And I was so naive thinking, maybe I will roll speed a second time. Boom, it came into attack bonus. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I wasted so much time in so many pieces. Yes, that was a mistake. I'm not doing that anymore. But still, like, sometimes you need to see, and I think it's extremely expensive if you really want to try to get god rolls, which is the end game. The end game in terms of gear is getting god rolls. Once you have god rolls, you have a piece that you're never gonna touch, and you're gonna be swapping that around. Fine. I appreciate they don't wanna give this as for free. Fine. And I'm not asking for it to be cheaper. I'm just asking for the cost to move towards the end numbers, or at least to get more cash when we throw these items to the trash, so that we could try with new gear a bit more, so we could try a bit more. I think the economy is so broken. Now, ideally, of course, they will give us 5 times more cash, and then, yeah, in a way, then I will be asking for things to be cheaper. But even if they don't do that, and just help us like by moving the cost, and just help us by giving us a bit more in return, that could also be helpful to increase the gameplay. Now, the last problem, which is a bit minor, but I still want to comment, is you saw me doing Cage Rumble, and the problem that I see again is about the identity of the game, right? So, is this PvE or is this PvP? Cage Rumble is a fantastic idea. I love this. The challenge that I have is the FOMO. Not even that, we have limited attempts per day. Now, why this is bad is because everything is fear-driven in this game. Not everything, sorry, but like a few key things are fear-driven. So again, going back to the topic of experimentation, going back to the topic of try and error, if I only have 5 attempts and all of those are in auto, I need to experiment with my units. I need to try different compositions. I need to learn the boss mechanics in this specific stage, because it might be a bit different than the other stages because of HP, attack, etc. And just having 5 attempts doesn't give me enough to experiment. Now, a way to do this, again, another solution that I would like to offer is, let me try as many attempts as I want, and then I can submit the attempt at some point to the leaderboard. Like other modes in the game doesn't have attempts. Like Ethernet Rally, you can try up to your hard contents. You can try as much as possible to try to defeat Nightmare, etc., etc., etc. Why Cage Rumble is different? Like, what's the identity of the game? And don't get me wrong. Like, I'm fine if they wanna make PvE Omega Hell difficult because they have really good rewards. Fine. For me, the key problem is PvP. I want to do more PvP. Right now, I'm not doing much PvP because I am stuck in terms of speed, in terms of like the units that I would love to try. I would love to try Hellkit way more. I'm so in love with Hellkit design, but I cannot afford investing in Hellkit. It could be bad for my account, or it could be good. I don't know, but I don't want to risk it. I really don't want to risk it, and I don't want to log it into the game with that fear of not being able to invest in the units that you love, because if you are making wrong choices, you cannot correct your mistakes. I think they need to address this ASAP, and that's why I believe hero resets are the biggest, most important thing to fix right now. And the second thing is, of course, help us with the economy. The economy is completely broken. Find a way for us to achieve more with our time, with the time that we have. Investigation, for example, is really easy to farm this one. Why is it so difficult to farm all these stages? Again, what is the identity of the game? Is the identity of the game to have a strong PvE, a difficult PvE? Right. Even if that's the case, I believe PvE should be difficult in things like Cage Rumble, in events, in things like that are not the farming content. The biggest challenge with the double XP event, the double reward event, is that you don't have enough hours in the day. Even if you play 24 hours non-stop without sleeping, full of coffee, you don't have enough time in the day to really use all the stamina, because some fights are still taking so long that you won't be able, for example, to farm all the Doki Doki if you have been saving and if you are doing max refreshes. So I think there is something there to polish. The foundations seem to be, other than what we have been discussing. I think the foundation seems to be fantastic. I love the PvP, the RTA. I love that after Diamond, the idea changes so you can pre-ban and so on and so forth. Yeah, I love that. But I'm not playing this enough because the thing I'm trying to tell you, like, I would love to experiment with more units and I'm being discouraged to experiment. So this is the yapping. I know I could have summarized that in way less words, but yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I wanted to get this out of my chest. And again, I would love to hear your thoughts because maybe there is something I'm not seeing. I know there is an argument to be made to just wait and be more mindful with your resources. You can just play with the units in basic form. Yeah, you can play with the units in basic form. Now try playing with Jelly without investing. Try that. Try playing with Jelly without investing. Come on, like that wouldn't feel good, right? It's all about feeling good. It's all about feeling powerful. Coming into the game to smash it. Anyhow, that's my feeling at least. So thanks a lot for watching. Until the next time, cheers!